Hi everybody, welcome to season 3 of Fights Clean Sex Dirty TV. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Gabrielle Sundra, and our special guests, Sean and Sarah Hannah.
No, McCoy.
McCoy.
Sarah Hannah.
Sarah Hannah, Sean McCoy.
I like to call her Sarah Love Hannah McCoy.
I know, it's just like so confusing because there's so many. I wasn't sure which one to do.
Or I shorten it, the High Priestess Sarah Love, but that leaves Sean out there. We want to get the good old McCoy in. The real McCoy.
The real McCoy. Nonetheless, here we are. Welcome to our first show of season 3.
Season 3, yes, this is the season of passion. And if you've watched any of our shows before, then you know that each week we alternate between how to keep the fights clean and the sex dirty. And then we go through the 4 areas of when you want to apply these tips for before, as it starts, during, and after. And tonight, for the season launch, not the season finale, what do they call it when it's the first one?
Opening.
Premiere. Yes, premiere. Thank you. The season premiere. Our topic is how to keep the fights clean before. So how do you invest in intimacy in advance? Right? Oh, Raj, as I see, has just pulled up the screen there with Fights Clean and Sex Dirty. And you can see on whether it be our blog articles or any other pieces that we're going to include this logo so you can see exactly where you can apply this tip. Because some people are dealing with both issues, but some are predominantly dealing with more the Fights Clean or the sex dirty. And for some people, for example, it might be like when you're in the heat of it, that's the real challenge. And others, it's afterwards. It's really difficult to heal after an argument. But tonight, if you want to go to the next slide then, tonight we are diving into, as we said, the fights clean. Oh, that says during, but it's actually fights clean before. Look at the logo there.
Before, yep.
Yep, a little boo-boo there. And this is all about being proactive. You see this couple actually visioning the future, and I love how they're co-creating with the heart. Sure, it's a little cheesy, but I thought it was appropriate for tonight. So we're going to dive into this topic. We have one specific tip that we're going to share with you tonight. We're going to briefly mention a couple of tips that we have talked about in previous episodes and just point you to where you can find some information on those if any of those are really appropriate to what you're experiencing now. And then we're going to dive into Sarah and Sean's top tips on what to do beforehand so that you're being proactive and that your relationship, you're not waiting for these problems to come up. But what do you do in advance that makes sure that you're having the playful, peaceful, passionate relationship of your dreams? So thanks for being here. That's what you can expect today.
Yeah, no, I was just checking out my wife and looking at how sexy and awesome she looks. Yep. So
Thanks.
if you notice me looking over and then lingering, that was
you're not looking at your notes written on my shoulder.
No, no notes on the shoulder. And just one other thing that we want to mention is around 6:10, we're going to open up the Hangout so anyone that's watching us live can join in and ask live questions. You can also type in questions into the comment box if you're watching the show on our website.
Yeah, and notice, a lot of people record things and edit them, but why we do this live is that we really want to engage with you. We certainly have some things to say. There's a little bit of the sage on the stage, but really this is about what matters to you most, and so we want to be the guide on the side. We have lots of great things to share with you, as do Sarah and Sean, but really it's what matters is you. So we're here to support you, so we want to give you a chance. You don't have to be on the video to ask those questions. You can put them in chat if you'd like, but we are here. If you want to get on and ask us a question live, we'll be here and leave time for that at the end. And then at the very end, we'll give you some information and some links on how to, we'll put them in the chat, on how to find out more about what Sarah and Sean have got going on, and so a few things that are happening with relationship fun and games.
A few things that are going on with relationship fun and games, and also get our some of our awesome free gifts as well to help you lead a awesome, peaceful, playful, passionate relationship.
Yeah, we got some great goodies. If you haven't yet opted in, if you go ahead and opt into Relationship Fun and Games, we have 4 awesome goodies that we'll let you know more about later on. But it's the season for giving still, so we want to give you as much as we can so that you're having, for 2016, the playful, peaceful, passionate relationship that you deserve.
So what do you think? Should we introduce Sarah and Sean?
Yes, let's introduce Sarah and Sean. It's really hard to encompass who Sarah and Sean are, but I love that one of the first things that I think about and that I want to say about them, and when I asked Sarah about bio that she brought up as well, is that their entire wedding anniversary is actually, which is August 8th, they got married 8808, a nice auspicious number, but they actually turned that into a global movement. So what are they doing on their wedding anniversary? they're not laying around getting massages. Not that that's bad. That's actually great. Who knows? Maybe you start the day that way. But they're actually out there for with an organization themselves and promoting I Stand for Love. Sarah's also, and I'll let her tell you a little bit about those in a moment, and Sean as well. Their wedding was a 3-day, I just want to say their wedding was a 3-day event at a music festival location. And we had such a great time that it was a celebration of their love, but it really was a celebration of bringing community together. And that relationship, it's not always easy. So it really is important that we bring the community together. So thank you guys for doing that. So also creator and artist, Sarah is with the Life is Beautiful and So Are You calendar. I just got mine in the mail, and I am super excited about it. I'm shaking it, but I don't want to shake it. I want to hold it still. We'll tell you more about that as well. And the pillars of their relationship. I love when people identify, like, what are we about as a couple? That's what tonight's call is, in fact, about. Love, fun, friendship, truth, respect, and gratitude. And then finally, on top of all of it, they're really do a wonderful job of balancing their fierce independence and at the same time being a total devoted unit. I don't think I've ever met a couple that does that so well. Usually people are better at the individual or better at the unit, but they perfectly balance this intense devotion to each other and what they're doing together, and a completely, fiercely, powerfully fabulous independence as well. So welcome, Sarah and Sean.
Very well said. Yeah, let's get Sarah and Sean on camera for a second. They are on your side.
There we go.
Okay. Hey guys, good to see you.
Hi, everybody.
Yay. Awesome. Okay, good. So we're gonna talk a little bit about our content, and Sarah and Sean, feel free to jump in and add any color that you want to, okay. And then we have some more space for you guys after we do some of our tips to talk about some of your tips. Yeah?
We'll trade tips.
We'll trade tips.
Yeah, and as I said before, go ahead, Raj, if you want to go to the next screen there, that I just wanted to quickly overview some of the other tips. Now, we have dozens of tips for each of these categories, and we've only just started putting these out each season. So there's a few that we've actually written about and had on shows, and a few that we just want to introduce a few little ideas here. So Context is King was from season 1, and that's like really creating a, what is that container? Who do you say your relationship is? We wrote both a blog about that, and that's in episode 1.1. of the Fights Clean Sex Dirty. So if you go to the episode library, you can check out more about that. And then the next season we talked about how to turn friction factors into peace practices, and that was so fun because last season the focus was on the season of peace. So Raj and I are going to we got to rename that. We're going to take like our freaky factors and turn them into passion practices this season, because we're now in season 3, the season of passion.
The peace practices are awesome. You totally want to check those out. All of us in relationship have friction factors, and one of our sort of catchphrases are, if your relationship sucks, then your life, well, it pretty much sucks. And one of the roots of your relationship not being awesome are these friction factors. And you can really check that out in season 2. You can go to our episode library and check out some of the content there, as well as our blogs.
Yeah, what I love about that is you're actually translating. You take something that isn't working, and you turn it into something that is fun and playful and brings you together.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. But moving right along, the problem isn't the problem, and we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight as well, but that's one of my favorite phrases. The problem isn't the problem. The problem is you think the problem is the problem. The problem is actually the path. And we say that because we really want to encourage couples to know that don't despair when things are difficult and challenging. If they're not, and you're taking your relationship from good to great or great to extraordinary, awesome. We love that too. But if you're having some challenges, don't get discouraged. Just translate those and realize that that problem isn't really a problem. It's an invitation. It's a path. It's something that's wanting to get looked at so that you have a breakthrough. Those breakdowns turn into breakthroughs, not just in your own relationship, not just for yourself, but also in your relationship individually. And then we've written a couple of blogs on Invest in Intimacy and about the proactive party. And tonight we'll be talking about being proactive because that's what this Fights Clean before. This is the before, so getting ahead of the game. In fact, we talk so much about being proactive. We call it the fourth P, because you have the P3 relationship of playful, peaceful, and passionate. But at the same time, we've got the fourth P, like the 8th habit of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We've got our 4th habit, which is being proactive. So let's dive in to the shared relationship vision, which is the one tip that we are going to focus on tonight before we turn things over to Sarah and Sean and get to hear all of their juicy tidbits that they're bringing to share tonight. This is really important, actually, that we're sharing this one, because Raj and I have never shared this before. To do this exercise, you had to be in our personal coaching program, which is thousands of dollars. So this week we decided, you know what, we're giving this away for free this year. We're sending this out to people because we really, really want couples to be making the choice for their relationship so that they are designing for delight rather than waiting until a problem arises and then dissecting the drama.
Fantastic.
You want to say anything about that? I know you're managing a bunch of things, but I'm going on.
You keep going on. You keep
Okay.
going on. I'll jump in. Yeah.
By the way, on that note, one of the friction factors that we turned into a peace practice this last season was Raj and I talking about how I can talk too loud or too much, and he can talk too quiet and not enough. So we actually created a little finger symbol to remind each other about talking too much or too little, or not loud enough, or not talking enough. So you can just give me the symbol, honey, okay?
Okay,
Otherwise, I'll run with it. Yeah.
You're doing great. And we just saw that someone, Terry, I think, popped on the call. Welcome. And we're going to give an opportunity for people that are joining us live in the Hangout to interact at around 6 o'clock, 6:10.
Okay, great. So this shared relationship vision, as I said, it's one of my favorite exercises for relationship, and I want to honor first Harville Hendricks and his wife Helen Hunt. They wrote the relationship book Getting the Love You Want, which is my favorite relationship book, and then 30 years later they wrote a few things in between, but most recently my second favorite book of theirs is called Making Marriage Simple. And essentially the exercise in the first book is all about, it's their first exercise of 12, and this is a modified version of theirs, taking it a little bit deeper in a few different directions. But this idea of having a relationship vision, something that you are declaring, this is who we are as a couple, so that when you're declaring who you are, you can see if there's a gap between who you say you want to be as a couple and who you're actually being, which is a completely different place to be than waiting for a problem, which most couples do. They just wait for something to happen and they start bickering, and it might start off slow, it might come out of the blue and be big, but how we normally handle things is that the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we don't actually address any issues until we have to. But if you don't invest that intention, attention, and action up front, then ultimately it's going to, demand your attention. In fact, the picture I put up here is sweeping it under the rug, because you can sweep it under the rug, but ultimately you're going to end up with a pile that you're going to trip over, and usually at the worst time possible, maybe like just before your parents are coming over, or something like that. Have you ever noticed that, Sarah and Sean, little squeaky wheel gets the grease, or some things get swept under the rug?
Oh, yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we probably all are guilty of that, because it's way easier, we think, to sweep things under the rug than it is to handle them. And that also happens because we don't know how to handle them. So one of the things that we're supplying our people that are following our work is how to deal with these things as they come up, because when they do build, it creates distance between you and your partner.
Yeah, and so some people then, when they stop sweeping things under the rug, they then blow everything up, and you don't want to do that either. Make every little thing into some big deal, or when you finally address something, it's all about, sometimes I've called this problem pathologizing. I don't remember where I heard that first, but dissecting the drama, problem pathologizing. So what we're going to do today is actually we're going to show you an exercise that you can do so that you're not doing that, but instead you're actually saying, this is who we are as a couple. Okay, you want me to keep going?
Yeah,
okay.
You're doing great.
All right, so today's top tip on keeping the fights clean, and we actually put that to 1, so we should change that with that S. Raj and I, we've talked about in the past, unsatisfactory solutions, and we put solutions in quote because they're not really solutions. Those are the unconscious things that we just default to, like being right, or withdrawing. You know, I call it the withdrawing. I call, you're not my friend and you're not coming to my birthday party. You're essentially taking your marbles and going away and not giving your partner your love. Those aren't really solutions. So what we're talking about here is actually, we like to call them really satisfying solutions. And this one is called the shared relationship vision. So you can have this be a map. You can turn it into a mantra, and in a minute we're going to show you another slide, which is the mantra, which, you know, mantras usually are shorter. Ours is like 4 or 5 sentences long. But we say it to each other, not every meal, but most every meal. We now have it memorized, and so we can always see, are we being that or are we not being that? So we'll share that with you in just 1 second. But it also, not just a map for your goals and not just a mantra, but this really can lead to a major, major shift in no longer dissecting your problems or avoiding your relationship and not investing in it, but actually front-loading, as they call it, you know, getting ahead of the game and investing in your relationship so that it's much easier. You know, couples say they're too busy, but fighting takes time too, and separateness, even if it's not fighting, is painful. And if you're in a good relationship, you know, and you want it to be even more extraordinary, then this tool is even perfect for that relationship as well. Okay, so you want me to keep going?
Yeah, what about the solo so what?
Yes, well, I actually hadn't got to the use it or lose it yet, so I'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
Yes, so this relationship vision, you can live into this, use it as a daily tool, put it in a place where you can see it. It's up on the, you know, visible somewhere. I put mine in my phone as a reminder.
Gabby and I also have a printout that's in a frame where we eat breakfast, and we actually read it most every morning. We read our relationship vision.
Yep, it's framed. It looks really pretty, and we pull it out. So use it. It's not like an exercise that you do and you just ignore it. You want to make it something that comes to you every day, whether it's sitting on your dining room table or whether it's in your phone or posted on your bathroom mirror. Have it come towards you. All right, and we've talked a lot about being proactive already, and I want to get to Sarah and Sean, so I'm going to wrap this one up. But the last piece I wanted to say is often we hear from either, surprisingly, I'm always interested that a lot of single people are coming to these calls and these webinars, and that's great. They're getting ready for their next relationship. I had one woman from the UK with 5 kids saying, I'm going to be ready for this next relationship, and she is just, it's been so much fun engaging with her with what she's getting out of it. So you might, you know, be in a relationship, you might be challenged in a relationship, you might actually be doing pretty well right now. No matter where you are, and even if you're on your own, you can do this exercise. You can't do all parts of it, but you can do a lot of it and really identify what do you want in a relationship, so you'll be able to see that in the future when the next person is coming into your life. And let's say you're in a relationship, but your partner doesn't want to, let's just say they're not as motivated as you are to take this kind of intentional action. Don't let that stop you. Create the relationship vision that you, as you see it, and then share it with your partner. So let me just go through a couple of the steps. Oh, why don't you oh, should we do this one together?
Sure. So
go back to it. So this is our shared relationship vision. This is
go through the steps.
Yeah. So this is the mantra version of our shared relationship vision.
And this is kind of an example of how we read it in the morning.
Yes.
So
I love my marriage and my husband. We are playful, peaceful, and passionate. We are hot for each other and express it daily. We generate with intention. We communicate with care. We seek to understand, spot, and meet each other's needs and delights. We care for our bodies. We contribute to the world. We're on top of what is to be done and are abundant with our finances, time, energy, and love. So when that comes up, we can go, oh, have we been being hot for each other today? You know, it says express it daily. So what have we done to make sure?
Gabby just got home from taking care of her dad and back surgery. So
I've been gone 3 days. I literally got home half an hour before the show. So it's nice to see you, honey. And so, yeah, let me just show you some of the steps, because this is the mantra version, but it's not this exercise. And I'm going to just briefly give you the top level. I wrote out all of this in detail in this week's blog, so you're welcome to go and check it out there. Go to relationshipfunandgames.com and go to the Fights Clean articles, and it'll be the very first one at the top.
URL for that.
Okay, great. Maybe you can put it in the chat.
Yep.
Okay, so let's briefly go through the action option if you want to change the slide. And we'll get to some Sarah and Sean goodies. Okay, so your action option, should you choose to accept it. We like to say that this is like Mission Impossible, right? I know it's an You know, we want to make this fun. This isn't like it's time to work on our relationship now. It's like, okay, this is our mission. Are we going for it? Yeah, let's go for it.
And it's so easy to get into that space of, oh, I don't want to do this. This is too
It's
much
work.
And you
Or
really
it should happen on its own.
right, or it should happen on its own, which is bizarre that we think that.
The autopilot attitude.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, really generate having fun with these things. Put on music, you know, light candles, whatever you need to do. Notice if you're making it work instead of play.
Yeah. There's always opportunities to make it fun. I love Sarah and Sean. They did a Facebook post tonight about this show just before the show started, and they said we're getting our serious silly faces on, and I love that. They made some silly faces, and really not just play just to play together, but even bring play to conflict, and even bring play to sex. But that'll be tomorrow, which is really fun. We're going to have Mia Cara, who does sensual restraint, but we'll tell you more about that later. But back to the fights clean action options should you choose to accept it. First, take some time and just describe your ideal relationship. And in the blog, I list all the different categories. What time do you wake up? What food do you eat? How often do you have sex? Do you have kids? How is money handled? How do you make decisions? And you actually describe how you want your ideal relationship to be. Now, then you bring that to your partner, and if you have a partner who's also playing the game, then you would share each other's. So share them at the same time. Obviously not simultaneously, but one and then the other. You could even go back and forth, sharing one and then the other person sharing, and just like with the card game Go Fish, it matches and you can both say, we got what we wanted, and you can put that onto your shared list.
Yeah, and listen with curiosity when your partner's sharing. And as part of the steps in here, you'll be combining the things that you really find important. Don't judge anything at this point. You really want to openly listen to what your partner has to share.
Yeah, so then once you and your partner both done this individually, then see where there's a comparison between the two where you both share those items. Some might be pretty close, some might be exact, some might need a little massaging to make it to the shared list, and then some might not make it to the shared list. So for the things that didn't make it to the shared list, look at the shared list and say, if we had all of these things in our relationship, would we be satisfied? Is there anything left on our individual lists that would make this a deal breaker? Very few things are deal breakers. Often it's kids, or if someone wants to have an open or a monogamous relationship, things like that. But just get complete about that so that you're agreeing that, yes, what's on the shared list, if we had those, we'd be totally happy. So then after you do that and you have that shared list, this now goes back to you individually, and you want to evaluate what is most important to you. Don't judge your partner. Look at yourself. What's most important to you, and what will be easy, average, or difficult. So then you want to look at your own list and pick the 1 to 3 areas that you want to focus on. Now, autonomy, meaning your own personal choice, is incredibly important here. So don't tell your partner what to grow on. You want to pick what are the 3 things that you want to grow on. And then you can go ahead and brainstorm some options, turn those friction factors, as we said, into peace practices. So what are some practices you could do? We have a lot of tips on our website, or you can come to one of our shows and ask some questions. We're happy to talk to you about your specific shared relationship vision. So bring those questions to this call, it could be at the end, or to any other of our calls. And then finally, from that brainstorming of what you might do in those practices, you would pick, each of you, 1 to 3 items that you want to take on. It could be a habit, an action, or a big goal. And then make them visible to you daily. A big bonus is if you go public. Raj and I, we have a call every 2 weeks with another couple. And sometimes we even post our goals on Facebook. You may or may not have some of your goals you want to have be public, but we often will keep our words to strangers or acquaintances more so than we will to ourselves. So if you want to really use the power of public declaration, we encourage you to do that. And then finally, you can take all of those pieces and just summarize that complete shared relationship vision into those 4 or 5 sentences like you saw that Raj and I did, and turn it into a mantra. So whether you're interested in creating some goals or just shifting your focus with your partner, you could even just do this once a year and just get aligned. Are we where we want to be in our relationship? Raj and I, we do the 3 seasons of play, peace, and passion.
That's not good. That's not good. No. Let's stay put.
Oh no.
I'm just gonna sit right here and not touch anything.
Going to adjust.
You adjust. Mhm.
We're hanging.
So this will still be in the recording.
Just go back over here.
Okay, we're back. We got a little technical glitch there.
Hope you were doing a little coffee talk, talking amongst yourselves. Not sure what happened there. All of a sudden the screen went blank, but it was perfect timing that we are, that is wrapped up with the relationship fun and games. So, you know, Sarah and Sean, I know, Sarah, that you do some goal setting as well. What do you guys do in your relationship, either related to the shared relationship vision or just your own ideas for what you do well in advance of any of the tension coming up?
Well, we were talking about this earlier because it's such an interesting topic. Sometimes you don't look at your own practices. It just becomes the normal thing. You don't really notice it. But one thing that we both had in common when we met is we came from households that fought a lot. And we both had also had prior relationships that were very heated. There was lots of jealousy or whatever the case may
Passionate.
be. No, passionate, but not in the way not in the bedroom. And so we both from early on decided or somehow just knew that we did not want to create a house with ugly stuff, you know, just where people go under the belt. So that was interesting to, you know, and one thing that we really resonated from early on was that we just didn't go there. We just can look back in our relationship and really the nasty stuff just never was someplace that either of us felt triggered enough to go. So I feel really blessed in that way because we both had kind of that similar wounding, I guess, you know, that we were conscious
of that context. In advance, you're saying, you know what, we had that context in our family, that's how we related, is we, you know, got really angry. And now we'd actually like to make sure in our relationship, let's not do that. You're creating that kind of container and agreement in advance.
We had the, we kind of came up with the, we will not say the F word to each other in a heated moment. You know,
F you.
Yeah.
We don't say that.
We don't say
that's
that
just
because that's really like
nowhere to go, really.
Yeah.
You know, there's
name calling, low blow free zone.
Yeah.
F you or F off does not go anywhere but downward spiral. So we do have some just completely
limits,
things that it really is nice to just establish that, especially if they're, like we all probably have, the childhood models, you know. And so once someone triggers, you trigger that deep, then it's just messy beyond, you know, it just takes so much more.
And not only do you get the benefit of not doing that, but when you have these agreements and you follow them and keep them, then you actually have the opportunity to build trust, you know, because you're saying we're not going to do this and then you don't do it. And so it's that collateral learning and intimacy gets built, not just from not saying F you, but from following what you said you do, keeping your word.
I think that's where it really comes from, as well as the trust, because when you grow up in a situation where someone comes to apologize after a heated argument and they apologize and there's tears, and then as a kid you think, okay, and then 2 nights later there's another fight. That's
Same thing.
exactly the root, is the trust. You know, then the apology comes, and you start to go, I don't think so. This didn't fix anything here. So that's exactly where it stems from, is like having that trust where you know, and it could be on the tip of your tongue. It really, you know, can get to the point.
You think?
Really
Maybe.
I love what you also. Yeah, I love what you also said, Sarah, about spiraling. I think you used the expression spiraling down.
Yes.
Certain things can spiral you down like you've been thrown off a cliff.
I mean, it's fast.
And by spiral down, for those who haven't heard that expression, you can either spiral down into the depths of argument and despair and suffering, or you can spiral up to things being blissful and peaceful in the way that you would like them to be.
Sometimes it takes a little bit more to spiral up than to spiral down. So the metaphor, the visual that Raj and I have used is, you know, on those extreme, you know, workout things, they have the bars that go side to side on the right and left. And then you hold the bar and you jump up, you use your weight, and then you jump up again. That's what we're always doing in our relationship. It takes something, but we're like getting to the next level and getting to the next level, and building, you know, pretty soon our relationship is going to be sky high.
Yeah, and you can identify those things that throw you off the cliff, like, you know, and if you do identify them, then you can actually avoid doing them. So it's great.
Yeah, and through relationships, you know, in my single life, I had worked on myself and read books and felt pretty good and thought, oh, I'm good, you know, and it takes relationships sometimes to bring up stuff you thought was long healed, you know, you already put that to rest, and then all of a sudden a relationship will dig that right back up. And so it's great, you know, as time goes on too, to go, oh wait, oops, like I didn't know that was a trigger when we had this discussion before, but whoa, I just went off the cliff, and we should just put that on the list as a no. Say that.
Add that one to the list.
Add that one. Yeah, and we're pretty expressive people, so it's not a long list of things you can't say, but it's the ones, you know, the major buttons. Yeah.
Right.
That's good that you know, and again, you identified those buttons, you know, in advance, and again, as you said, some get added to the list. Raj and I call that naming your argument. You know, we'll see, you know, oh, it's that one, like we recently were just talking, or even tonight, talking about not talking a lot. We call that, I can't get a word in edgewise, is the name of that one.
It really is amazing how these little things that to some people they wouldn't trigger you at all, but to other people, it completely, using the cliff and now throws you off the cliff. And I think one of the things is that we need to have compassion with ourselves for being so easily thrown off the cliff, because like you said, Sarah, they are very deep wounds from our childhood. And we think that we're dealing with now, but we're not really dealing with now. We're dealing with the thing that happened when we were 4 or 5 or whatever. And I think if we give ourselves some compassion in those moments, it allows us to not lash out at our partner.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say, we were talking earlier about, you know, how when you get triggered and things like that. For us, when we get triggered and angry and upset, we just kind of realize, or one of us will kind of be goofy and just be like, hey, you're not real. This really isn't what we're arguing about. This is just some other issue here, you know, that you're mad about. Or, you know, if you're out driving and you got cut off and you come home and you're angry about, you know, I mean, a lot of times you get into an argument, it's not really about what just happened. It's about something else that maybe occurred during the day or even a couple weeks ago or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So we also try to really just keep that into perspective as well. Just
the big picture.
Yeah, just like, hey, you know, it's not that serious. It's really not that serious.
Right. Just one quick announcement to our audience. The Google Hangout button is live now, so if you'd like to join us live and ask some questions, feel free to click on that link.
And if you still want to ask a question but you don't necessarily want to jump on live, you can go ahead and put those in the comments, and we'll be keeping an eye out for those. Yeah, it was reminding me, Sarah, a moment ago what you were saying, and Raj, about investing. We call that investing in intimacy. so that you're not waiting, because life is difficult. You get hungry and tired, and if you just kind of float into the default, even if it starts small, over time it can build up, and then someone's really, I know Sean, thank you for being here. You've got a major back issue right now. You're in pain. That can often trigger something. I don't know if it has for you, but I've been in pain before and snapped at Raj or something. So, but you have more spaciousness for those difficult times if, when you are in a neutral time, you're actually investing in that intimacy, whether it's building trust, as we talked about, by not crossing those lines that you said, or by creating a vision for your relationship, or whatever it is. Just the idea of investing in that intimacy. It often makes me think of Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion and wisdom, and I'll often say it is wise to be compassionate. It is wise to be compassionate.
As you're holding back.
There's holding back. There's not stepping over that line. But that's all about investing in that intimacy, so that later on, when those challenges do come up, it's easier for me to take that Kuan Yin stance of being wise and compassionate, or it's wise to be compassionate, because we have invested in all of that intimacy. You have that goodwill. In fact, I have a friend, Adam Galad, right now, is doing a whole new project with relationships, and he says he's read like 60 books on relationship in the last 6 months, and it all comes down to, there's two things, and if I can remember them, the one we're talking about related to here is positive goodwill between you and your partner.
Yeah, that's important. And it's funny because you mentioned Kuan Yin, and it kind of all ties together, but I'm sitting next to one of our altars, and you guys put around your mantras and your things around in your space, and we love to create altar space in our house. So a lot of, like, almost every surface area, we have kind of a joined, crystals or candles or spiritual stuff, and we have one for our money where we put all the checks that come in and bless everything, and it's really unspoken. It's not something we really spend major time creating together, but we both really find that having physical tools around, physical representations and reflections of kind of your ideal Kuan Yin or Buddha, or whatever that is, that helps us create the mantras that are daily on the calendar.
Yes, I don't know if anybody else, I know you could see me, I don't know if anybody else could, but I was just holding up the calendar. Because you can see, Sarah, who's moderating, I don't know if you can show my screen, I can't tell if it is or not, but they have these daily mantras in here every day, a little one sentence that you can see, and it's just another way of a physical structure. I leave this on my refrigerator and go through and say, oh, what's today? What's our message for today? Again, not waiting for the default, but it's a perfect way to be proactive. I love your calendars. You guys, I even keep my old ones. I have, like, I think six years of these calendars now. I don't want to get rid of them.
Yeah,
I love for collage.
Yeah, we also just did our New Year's collage, so we're pretty visual and creative. So with the altars and the collage, kind of stirring up some of that stuff, it gets stale. You say the same thing. What's that?
Is your collage, if you just did one for the year, is your collage reachable? Can you share your collage?
We both did.
We each did one, and
that's mine. Let's see if you can see that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Never lied.
Yeah, and then I'll read this little quote. The quote that I found that I really liked that resonated with me is, risk takers don't turn around, they don't slump their shoulders and fold up into themselves in a corner. They stand up, look at the unknown straight in the face, and say, bring it.
Bring it. Oh, that's what I'm going to say every time I see you now, Sean. Bring it.
That's awesome, Sean. Just like, that applies to all of life, and we wouldn't normally think of that in terms of our romantic relationship, our committed relationship, and you have to bring it in your relationship. Go ahead, Sarah.
Bringing his.
I'll speak to that because I think it's really important to remember that there is unknown in your partner. We've been together for 11 plus years, and it's so great to get to that point to just be so comfortable, and you just think you know everything, and you're just in your routines, and then to remember, wait, you're a person that changes every day. I have to remember that there's still unknown parts, and I want you to bring it. You know, I want that new growth, or that even that issue or that challenge or the problem, to say, oh wait, you're still uncharted waters. You're not just a stagnant, you know, person that I just lean on and know exactly we have our patterns, of course, which it makes it nice and comfortable. But I didn't think about that with that quote, but I think it's fun to apply that to relationships too.
Awesome. And can we see your collage, Sarah?
Yes, mine of course is wild and floral. So this was.
So breathe in and then just hold it still for a moment. Great. Yeah, just hold it still. Perfect.
Yeah, so this was I devoted it. I did a separate one for my business and stuff. So I wanted this to be primarily about the relationship. And it says, "How good can you feel?" And it's just
love that question.
Yeah, the question. You know, it's like
it's about the feeling. It's not just external or circumstances, but it's an internal quality that you're creating. And I love the blooming nature of it, you know, with a relationship, because, you know, we often think, this is the cliche, you know, that relationships start as the hot coal and then they start slowly cooling over time, and pretty soon they're ash and they blow away. They're like nothing. You know, maybe you break up, maybe you're living parallel lives, but that's how it starts great and goes terrible. And in fact, our relationship, when we started, was so messy, we were like, oh, is this going to work out? But we've totally flipped it on its head. You know, we went to therapy for a year before we got married. Not after we got married. And now it just keeps getting better and better and better in this positive dynamic, because that it's this thing that we're moving, you know, towards. And so it's not that the flowers, I love that it's this blooming. You guys have been together 11 years, but there's this total brand new spring blooming quality to your collage. That's awesome.
And I love your focus on physical things. You know, sometimes we get so in our heads and all verbal and writing, and just to have these physical structures you can see them in an instant, and it can trigger 1,000 positive emotions for you, like that single phrase that you have, how good, what is it? How good
can you feel?
Can you feel, yeah. Yeah.
Well, and you know when something is dusty and done. You know, when you look at your altar and it's like covered in cobwebs, it's like, okay, time to spend the afternoon dusting. And sometimes with words and commitments, you don't always know. You know, you kind of don't know if it's still got the charge and the energy. So, and I know you guys are into ambiance too, and that kind of brings back to that feeling of like, how does it feel in here? How does it feel in the bedroom? How does it feel in where we make our food? You know, and it really has such an impact, your environment. And when you're creating an environment together, and he's, you know, Mr. Outside Landscape, and so I kind of take a back seat and let the vision of his artistry come through that way, and I'm kind of more inside with the details and the fabrics and stuff. So we have learned to really like add a lot to our lives through, and we've traveled, we've been gypsies, so it doesn't have to be in your home necessarily, but it makes a huge difference on how you feel if you give each other space to kind of make little magic together. And
well, it's like set and setting, right? And they say set and setting is so important. And I love that what you're talking about, whether it be in your home, you know, they say if you have a chaotic home, you know, it's going to lead for a chaotic life. So actually, I love that you're speaking to your surroundings, not just the altar for the reminder of each item that you have on the altar and what that represents, but the general aesthetic feel. I actually have referred to my altars in the past as a memory plate, because I'll have a powerful experience somewhere and I'll take a rock from it, or someone gave me something at a New Year's Eve party that I wanted to remember. And so I'll put them on this plate so that just as I'm walking by the plate, you could do this with your relationship, even have one just for your relationship, this memory plate of all these special things that you've done.
Yeah, we should do that.
Because, you know, your mind is designed to forget. You have so much information coming at you. You know, you're in the kitchen and you go to get something in the bedroom and you're like, what did I come in here for? So if you've got these confronting goals for your relationship and these intentions, you're going to not just forget them, you know, on accident, sometimes on purpose, you know, you get distracted or whatever it may be. But if you have these physical reminders, whether it be our framed shared relationship vision or the memory plate or your altars and collages, it can make such a difference.
So just another reminder. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying. I pulled a card last night. I've got this. Sarah gave me a deck recently, and I pulled was the medicine pouch card, which is all about having these little things, certain little items that you place in a medicine bag or a medicine pouch, and at some point you would wear that around your neck or around your waist or whatever, and all those special things in there were reminders and held certain powers and ideas in them. And the idea in Native American tradition is that you pass that on to your predecessors or whatever, or your I don't know, whatever. But it was just a reminder of oh, I have all these great things around me, and I can also bring them with me. So to have a little medicine pouch. A lot of times I carry crystals in my pocket. I'm sure you guys do a similar thing, or like I'll have a special stone that I'll wear around my neck if I'm feeling a certain way or something. All those little reminders kind of help,
Yeah, and
bringing the sacred in. We like to bring the sacred into our space and our life.
And they fit really well into the before frame because you can keep coming back to before before things start, right?
Yeah, there's always before, right? Yeah. Or the next.
Where's the brass credit card? Wasn't it right up there? Was it there? Yeah, so you're talking about physical structures. One of the things I gave to Raj for Christmas last year is I took our shared relationship vision and I had it on Etsy. They have this woman who engraves it. This is like a brass credit card.
Yeah.
And you can normally carry it in his wallet, but right now it's sitting on the windowsill in the office so that it's right in his line of sight. So even if he can't read those words, he knows that this is our relationship vision. So it's not just the words but turn those words into something physical.
I love that. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, from day one, it was kind of like, how do we fit all of the rocks into our house? We moved in together. I was like, that was one of the problems, So we both kind of have that. It's a nature connection. It just opens up that perspective, to where you're actually feeling like, okay, this is a spiritual being. Got to remember that. I am with you. And then the connection with the earth and the connection with the elements. And what if it's not just these two points, these two opinions, these two egos, these two things kind of hashing it out, and you open that up to the bigger picture, it makes such a huge difference.
When you say open it up to the bigger picture, what do you mean, like the spiritual self?
Yeah, the whole wide and the earth element with bringing in the special, rocks and the little trinkets of your love, it's like having that stuff in your environment, or just having those little nudges, because you could stomp into your office and something, and then you look over, okay, yep, it's like, you didn't place it there for that moment, but it was waiting there for that moment. When you
open your door and you come home, like, what is it that you're greeted by and that you see? Is it clutter and mess, or is it something that you came together as a couple and created? I know when Raj and I first moved in together, we had an agreement that if we didn't both agree, it didn't come in the house.
We had a pretty full garage.
We had a very full garage and a very zen house.
Love that.
When we went to move, we gave away, garage sale, dump, all sorts of different stuff that we finally got rid of. But it actually was beautiful. It had us simplify. And so even our physical environment was aligned around what do we both see and get inspired by. Now, there was a turning point. This is a really fun story in that I was traveling. I had a job that was in San Francisco, and we lived in Santa Barbara, and I was gone 2 weeks a month. And when Raj and I first moved in, every time he would travel and leave me home, I'd move the furniture around. Like, I'd do it without him. So, it's easier in the pictures. So it'd be easier to get forgiveness than permission. Yeah. And then I'd leave town, and I'd come back, and he'd change the pictures and move the furniture around.
I'd try to get it to a way where she'd, say, that looks good.
Yeah, you can't just do what you want, because that won't work. But you do it enough, and are they, have them like it. And there was this one painting that was commissioned of me from my 35th birthday, only painting ever commissioned of me, and it's me as an angel just looking up in the sky, and it's actually based from a real picture from me on summer solstice one day. And so with the picture, I'd come home and, I had it up, I'd come home and Raj would have it down in the garage. And he'd leave and I'd have it up and we'd go down in the garage. It was a turning point the day I left and came home and he had put the painting up. So it was like this non-verbal communication that was happening between us just through our creating our space, until it came to this point that this picture that he didn't normally like in the past, he was saying, it was another way of saying I love you, is we're going to put this up right in the kitchen where everybody could see it, is where he put it.
Amazing.
I had never really thought about this as much, Sarah and Sean, until you guys started talking about it, but really creating the environment that you want to step into, almost even in your front door, right? You come in, what's something that can get you connected to the love for your partner, so that that's what you come to your partner with, instead of all the stuff that you're bringing in the door that has nothing to do with your relationship. Yeah, love it. Do you guys have any other key tips about keeping the fight clean before you want to share? Because we have about 2 more minutes before we need to go into showing people about getting some of our 3 things, including your calendar.
What was that, Gabby?
Next
I was just saying, before we shifted to next steps, we just wanted to see if there was any other last tip that didn't get to squeeze in there that you want to share before we go into summary for tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I can see so many of my own downfalls, and I really get too serious. I take things, myself, my life, business, it's so serious, and so he helps me lighten that up. Like, he knows when I'm just, I got the scowl going and I'm just thinking about everything and the weight of the world and I got to figure it out, and I help a little with his, to make a collage, where it's like, okay, all of a sudden the box of collage stuff is like in the middle of the room. So guess what's happening now, And so we kind of both have, and over time, there's that resistance. First, it's like, no, I'm doing something right now, and over time, there's that trust that comes in where you think, oh, this person knows that I'm actually not having very much fun right now, and they know how to help move that energy. So there's something about like the stubbornness that we want to hold on. It's not even when you're in an argument, but just in your own zone. You're just in your own. And when someone kind of comes with their energy, like, no, I'm busy. And there's something that comes over time where you allow that. Where you allow that person to go, okay, right, you're actually helping. You actually want to see me smile right now. You want to help me.
We named that one ourselves. It used to be, I'd say to Raj, he'd get stressed, and he wasn't mad at me, but he'd get stressed and then directed at me. And I'd say, but I'm not your enemy. I'm not your enemy. And now we've reframed it, and I say, I'm your #1 fan. We got one of those big foam fingers. I'm your #1 fan, and just really remember to keep that context. Again, we started the call with context is king. And that when we're in that stressful time, like, I'm your biggest fan. Like, we're on each other's team. We're blowing wind in each other's sail.
One quick thing is when, he jokes that I'm always right, because, we won't really go into that topic. But the way I kind of reverse the compliment is to say, well, aren't you the smartest man in the world for choosing a woman that's, right 95% of the time? So it's a way to, to say, yeah,
I taste.
Yeah, you have great taste. Look at you, And so we do the kind of fun little tease, little game thing, but it's actually, to kind of help lubricate the tense times where it's like, oh, you're right again, or oh, so whatever. We joke about that.
Laughter lubrication. I love that. I love my alliterations. I'm going to write that one down.
Yeah, I love that. When
Laughter
you said
is
that,
lubrication.
I'm totally going to use that one. Because I don't know about you, Sean, but, the 10th time out of 10 that your wife is right, like,
yeah,
you feel like...
It drives you crazy.
And, and it's hard to be with someone that's mantra, I write positive mantras, as my business, my art, my passion. And so it's hard when you're stuck in traffic and you kind of just want to let off some steam and someone's sitting next to you going, now, honey, that person could be going to the emergency room. Let's send them love and compassion. Some things
Sometimes I don't want to send them love and compassion.
Sometimes it's like I just want to be me and have this moment, you know. So there is that balance of too much positive, you know, can kind of like rub the friction a little bit more. So you really have to find the recipes for the moment.
You sure do. Sure do.
Well, Sarah and Sean, we are so happy to have had you on. We've mentioned the calendar a couple of times. We want to share with the audience a couple ways they can find out more about their next steps with Relationship Fun and Games and Fights Clean, Sex Dirty, and with I Stand for Love and the Life is Beautiful, So Are You calendar. So, Raj, will you pull that screen up for me just for a moment? And again, you know, Raj and I, we don't get off the calls until your questions are done. So those of you, we saw some other people even just jumping on now. If you want to put a question in chat, you know, Raj and I are happy to stay on after we go through these couple of slides and answer any questions that may have popped up.
So one of the offers that we have as a gift for any of the people in the audience here is our free gifts package. And it consists of 3 things.
The Relationship Reset Kit.
The Relationship Reset Kit that can totally transform your relationship. And they're super fun. Gaby is just such a phenomenal writer. We have this 4-part mini email course, which is 4 of our top tips on how to keep the fights clean and the sex dirty.
It includes the hot and bothered backseat driver, which is one of our favorites. So if anyone listening ever has any issues with fighting in the car, there's one of the great tips that's in there. That one, you will never have to fight in the car again. Get hot and bothered instead of bothered.
Check that one out. You also get our How to Keep the Fights Clean and the Sex Dirty free guidebook. And this is a shortened version of our ebook, and it has the cream of the crop of our top fights clean, sex dirty tips.
And really, it's done in a layout that's really beautiful, easy to scan. This is like something you could pull out and even have as a quick reference.
And also, as part of opting in, you'll get access to all of our replays from Season 1 and Season 2 of this show. We have some awesome episodes. In
16
both seasons.
episodes.
And also, you'll get notified of upcoming episodes of Season 3. So lots of great stuff there.
And you'll also get notified of our new webinar, The #1 Reason Relationships Fail and What You Can Do About It. So you can get all of that by going to relationshipfunandgames.com, get free gifts main. Are you going to put that in the comments so they don't have to type it, but you can just
I will.
Click it?
Sarah Fox, could you enter that URL into the chat window? That's what kicked us out of the Hangout before, so I don't want to try our luck again on that one. Great.
We'll stay out of the comments.
Great. Okay, good. So that's that. And our second thing that you can do if you want to dig in a little bit deeper is check out our ebook.
The expanded accordion version of all of the tips. We've come up with a lot more since then, and we'll be coming up with a new edition of the ebook in 2016. But get your hot little hands on this one now.
And this covers the 5 simple steps to solutions that really satisfy in terms of keeping the fights clean and the sex dirty.
I think there's over 24 tips in that ebook, and again, laid out in a really easy to scan and get what the parts that are, you know, I don't believe in like somebody having all the answers. I want like you to kind of peruse down the avenue of these options of these different tips and tools and see which techniques really inspire you and sound fun, because again, we want to play here. You know, this isn't meant to be work.
Great, and certainly let us know if any tips or tools are helping you in your relationship. We'd love to hear about that. And as Gaby was referring to earlier, we have our free 90-minute webinar called The #1 Reason That Relationships Fail. And
did I jump the gun?
It's okay. And what you can do about it. It's an awesome webinar with lots of tips on how to keep the fights clean and sex dirty. And as you see on screen here, you can learn how to become a fabulous fighter. We love saying, save being nasty for your sex life.
Yeah, you know, that's why our logo is the heart, you know, with the halo, and the heart with the devil horns, because you want to wear the halo when it comes to fighting, and wear the devil horns when it comes to getting it on.
True.
Not the other way around.
So our next webinar is tomorrow evening at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's Thursday, January 7th.
And Sarah Fox, if you could again take that link and go ahead and put that in the comments if anybody wants to join us for that tomorrow night.
Okay, that's a little bit of more of a complex URL. Sarah Fox, hopefully you
So
got that. We'll
link
bring
will
it
go in
back
there.
up if you don't.
And finally, but certainly not least, is I Stand for Love. I love that URL. I love your calendar. I know the calendar has been around longer than I Stand for Love. The year has just started. You've only missed a few days for January, so get your copy. Anything you want to say, Sarah and Sean, about I Stand for Love, and anything that you're up to people should know about?
Well, we didn't get to touch on that, but a few years after we got married, we decided that, you know, we love big. We love to inspire do in the world. So our anniversary, August 8th, we turned into a worldwide movement where on social media we just encourage people to post pictures of hearts and love and loving things in nature, love themselves, their kids, and just flood the interwebs with love on that day. And this will be our 3rd year coming up, and it's so fun. So usually we have a party, you know, or something to celebrate. So we do a lot of celebrating in our lives, and we love to have special occasions. But we decided that our intimate little anniversary would become this invitation for people to turn up the volume of love and use their, you know, the avenues that are out there for us, all the social media outlets, just to put more love in the world. So it's so fun, and that's just, you know, a totally free event, obviously, for everybody, and kids love it. They're already wired in for the love, so it's really
such
fun.
a great thing that you created this environment where people send you pictures of hearts all the time. You know, I'm on your Facebook, I Stand for Love. I'm a fan of that page, and I put notifications on, so when someone posts a new photo, so someone the other day, I think they found this plant that looked like it was 2 hands that had come together, and it looked like they were praying, but it was a plant. So just all of these beautiful visual reminders of love showing up in the universe out there. Really well done creating that. They come to you. You don't even have to go looking for them.
Thank you. I know it's such a blessing. Yeah, it's the love vibration. Whatever we can do to
tell
put it out
people
there.
where they can get your calendar.
Yep, istandforlove.com. The calendar will be right on the home page. It's a daily, and there's also the I Stand for Love app, and you can download an app in the App Store for free. The calendar is just a wonderful thing to hang on the wall like you have it in your kitchen. I hear a lot of people put it in their bathroom so they see it first thing in the morning. And it gives you a little morsel of love every single day that just keeps that something to focus on, a mantra, a little inspiration. Sometimes it just says, "You are beautiful," which who doesn't need to hear that, you know, of course.
Right.
And now it's a phone app as well. Is it just for iPhone, or is it for Android as well?
Android as well. The app is free, and another way for the people to feel love in the world. So you can put your little message on your phone and get that delivered. You set the time of day where you get to have a notification come in, and it just says little notes for you.
It's so great if you and your partner both got those on your phone, and so you're both getting that message every day and living into that same theme. You don't have to say, "Oh, what's the theme we're creating today?" There is one. Let's see what today says. It says January 6th, choose loving thoughts, which is so perfect with this topic about how to keep the fights clean before, because we're talking about intentional and letting go of the default and designing the relationship, the delightful relationship with intention. So choose loving thoughts. Perfect. Tomorrow, well-being is your natural state. And Friday is pursue what delights you. I love it. 3 or 4 words to really set the tone for the day.
It's amazing what you can pack into 4 words, Sarah.
I know. I distill it down to a nice little morsel.
So thanks everyone for joining, all of the people on the call, those that were listening in, and those that actually joined in on the Hangout. We really love, and we want you to have as much in it in your life as possible so that you have a playful, peaceful, passionate relationship. And gone are the days when we judge our relationship or measure our relationship success on how long we've been together, but really how much are you thriving and enjoying each other? You know, is it lack of a better word, shit-eating grin on your face, or are your shoulders kind of slumped over and it's ho-hum, ho-hum? We don't want ho-hum, we want hubba-hubba.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming and for investing in your relationship. As I always say, a little intention, attention, and action go a very long way. And Sarah and Sean, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And taking a word from Sean's
Pleasure.
place, Bring it.
Bring it.
Bring it.
Yeah.
Bring it. Relationship requires
Yes.
it.
You're so inspiring.
So good night, everybody. If you want, join us on the webinar tomorrow evening, 5:30 Pacific time. The link
Number
is,
one reason relationships fail and what you can do about it.
And next week, this same time, Wednesday, 5:30 Pacific time. PM.
Yes, Mia Cara is going to be
don't wanna
here.
miss this
Sensual
episode.
restraint. This is now getting to the spicy side, how to keep the sex dirty beforehand. And, you know, when I say, you know, sexual restraint, this isn't like your BDSM bondage kind of thing. This isn't even, this is the well before. This is about the energetics and the space between an intimate couple. In fact, Mia only works with committed couples. So we're really, we've done a
did a workshop with her, and she's fantastic. I
with
never,
like 50 people in the room.
you never think that you'd feel comfortable with the rope in your partner, and she makes it.
Certainly
so.
with not 50 people in the room. But that's the kind of safety and integrity and beauty and classiness that she brings to this conversation. So we're not even getting into the during part. This is not even in the seduction and as it starts. This is all about how to keep the sex dirty before. So it's going to be hot and spicy and fun. Join us next Wednesday.
Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year.
Good night.
Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.
Good night.